Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Supergirl Season 3, and this is going to be my review for the mid-season premiere, otherwise known as Episode 10, otherwise entitled The Legion of Superheroes. So obviously this is a mid-season premiere, so what happened in the mid-season finale? What was our cliffhanger? Well, we saw Reign and Supergirl have their first big fight, and, well, Supergirl sort of got smashed, didn't she? Yeah, Supergirl did not end off in a pretty good way, did she? She was, basically almost dead. And that is essentially all we have to sum up, because that's where we pick up in this mid-season premiere. We find out Kara is in a coma, but she's actually in her own world. It's like this mind prison. That's, I think, like the term that's used by Win, I'm pretty sure, is the one that uses that. But she's in like her subconscious, and you know, the surroundings are meant to be like familiar to her, so that's why she's in her apartment. But this is when we meet Brainiac 5 for the first time. Now, Brainiac 5 copped a lot of flack. I was one of them. I made a video about it. I was like, okay, this Brainiac 5 looks terrible. In the episode, he doesn't look much better, but he does look a bit better. I'm not going to say in motion it was a bit better. I think the actor, I think his name's Jesse something, played the character really well. I wasn't annoyed by him, which was one thing I was sort of scared by, because you could play Brainiac 5 in a really weird way, and I was sort of happy that they didn't go down that route, and especially the actor didn't go down that route. So Brainiac 5 was pretty likable. He seemed like he should be, and the look was still a bit jarring, like it did take you out of it a bit, but it wasn't as bad as it possibly could be, because they did make it look like in like the promo pictures and even some of the trailers that his skin looked basically blue, like a Smurf or something like that, but it had more of like a blue-green tinge to it, so it didn't look too bad, but it could have been much better if they wanted it to be that way. But essentially, one of the big things going on this episode is that Reign declared war on criminals, but in a more like brutal fashion. So she's not just like doing it like Supergirl would, like take them, bring them to the authorities, and they face justice. She's ruling out justice completely, like all the justice system. She's not going by the rules. She's going in a much more brutal way and just killing these villains, which is pretty scary. And what makes a really scary villain is a villain who thinks they're doing right. They don't think they're doing anything evil. They know that they're doing something wrong. They think they're doing something right, and that is exactly what Reign is doing throughout this season. She thinks she's doing the right thing because of what's going on with her rulers or her masters, if you want to call them that. So that's what's making Reign a pretty scary villain at the moment. As I said, is that she thinks she's doing the right thing, which is incredibly worrying because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. So it's really hard to reason with the villain because of that. But we do find out in this episode, thanks to Mon-El and Imra, or Saturn Girl, that in the year, I think it's 2455 to be precise, or 2450. I think it was 2455 anyway. They say that the Earth faces a catastrophic event, which means like a mass loss of culture, which includes history. So Mon-El was basically putting some puzzle pieces together to the, you know, the Legion in the future. But you know, he was only on Earth for a bit, so he can only tell them what he knows from the time that he was on Earth after he arrived from Daxam. So he doesn't have like a massive encyclopedic knowledge of the history of Earth. He only knows what he was taught. So they're able to piece together little bits like Supergirl lives, Supergirl passes this like this test against Reign, and Reign eventually leaves. But there are some other things that happen in the future that they're still trying to piece together, pieces from the past, to try and figure out how to sort of stop that stuff from happening in the future. Now, throughout the episode, you did see the Legion sort of resisting in like helping out planet Earth essentially at this stage by helping take down Reign. And we do find out it's because they can't die. They need their DNA to survive to go ahead to the future and help what's going on over there. And it revolves around Wynneth, which is like a human settlement later on. Now, throughout this conversation, Mon-El actually does name drop Ayla Reigns, might I say, or Isla Reigns, however you want to pronounce it. It was actually Lightning Lass from the comics. Now, in the comics, on Wynneth, everyone there's basically born into twin pairing. So everyone's born as twins. So Lightning Lass, her twin is Lightning Lad. Now, Lightning Lad we actually did see on Smallville back in the day when that was on, so that's pretty cool. In the comics, Lightning Lad is actually married to Imra, or Saturn Girl, who is married to Mon-El in the show. Pretty interesting. That might be why we don't see Lightning Lad on the show, if they introduce more Legion members, so that could be a reason why. But they do tease that we could see Lightning Lass at some stage. It is always good to see John Jones dress up as Kara again. We weren't disappointed in this episode when that did happen. It was a quick moment, but he had a very weird conversation about like James Olsen and his kissing skills. Really weird, but still fun nonetheless, I guess. Now, we did see a scene from the trailer where Rain was taking on some bank robbers, and we just thought, okay, this is like an example of her just taking on criminals in her own way. But this was actually the DEO like baiting her in and dressing up as these bank robbers. And we do see a red sun grenade used, might I say, but it does literally nothing. It sort of knocks Rain out like a stun grenade almost. If that was used against Supergirl, she'd be down for the count basically. But Rain just like didn't bother her at all. They had the kryptonite around her neck, which once again would take Kara out pretty easily. Did nothing. Rain is really resistant to these forms of Kryptonian or kryptonite, might I say, things that go against Kryptonians. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see later on in future episodes how they easily take down Rain without, you know, not through brute force, through like things like a red sun grenade and kryptonite little devices, how they actually make them, you know, work against her. One moment in the episode which I thought was actually really nice was the Kara and her cat moment. I've just got a soft spot for animals. That might be why I found it a nice moment, but it made Kara, you know, feel more comfortable, you know, because she'd felt like an alien her whole life, which I guess she is, but she looks like a human, so she should be able to gel well with our society, but she wasn't able to. But that cat allowed her to gel better. So that was actually a really nice moment. Once again, I think it's just because I have a soft spot for animals, but regardless, I really like that moment. Now, the big fight scene, I guess you could say, in this episode was the Legion versus Rain at the prison. Now, overall, I thought this was a decent fight scene. It does almost make it look like the Legion are just really, like, amateur with what they're doing. But anyway, there was a nice transition from Thomas Koval, who returned in this episode, which I wasn't too surprised by. Because, you know, as long as Rain's a major threat in this season, I think Thomas Koval's going to be a recurring side character throughout the season at least. But there was a nice transition from Thomas Koval like praying in his cell when he's then approached by Rain to actually living on a prayer by Bon Jovi, which Mon-El and Imra had referenced a few times throughout the episode. I did see some people complain that it just felt a bit weird. It didn't feel right in the episode, which I guess you can make an argument for, but you know, this is Supergirl. You got people flying with rings, like rings giving people the ability to fly. So the fact that John Bon Jovi is playing over speakers, I don't think should be seen as such a weird moment. Now, Supergirl does return at the end of this episode. She wakes up from her coma, which I don't think was, you know, in any doubt. I think we all knew she was going to wake up. But the thing is, it just felt a bit anticlimactic, the whole fight. I'm not saying it was bad. I just expected more. Like the fight, like the return fight between her and Rain was like her tackling her to the ground and getting the kryptonite and stabbing her in the neck with it. It just felt a bit anticlimactic. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was expecting too much. In a mid-season premiere, you would expect that later on for another rematch fight, I guess, between Kara and, or Supergirl, might I say, and Rain. But I was just expecting a bit more. Maybe, yeah, as I said, I was expecting it a bit too much, but it just felt a bit anticlimactic. Maybe that was just me. One thing that I'm just curious as to, like, why they still have it on the show is Lena and James and that attempt at a relationship. It's so bad. It's borderline cringeworthy whenever it pops up. I haven't seen anyone that supports it. If there is anyone that actually out there that actually likes it, let me know. The reason I'm not saying I don't like it because I don't like the two together. I don't really care because I don't really care about shipping it on these shows at all. The thing that just confuses me is that, like, throughout season 2, all of season 2, James was like shit talking Lena behind her back to Kara, saying, "Don't trust Lena, don't trust Lena." And then all of a sudden in season 3, before they even, you know, before halfway through the season, because they were together before the mid-season finale and stuff, they're hooking up and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This makes no sense. This is really forced almost to give James a storyline and arguably Lena a storyline as well outside of the Morgan Edge storyline. So it's weird. They need to end it because it's just not interesting. And it was sort of a big part in this episode. There's at least 3 or 4 scenes dedicated to it. So yeah, don't know what they're going for. It's a bit strange. But we end up the episode with Koval, or Thomas Koval, might I say, teaming up with Rain. Sort of random. I don't know if Rain brought him to that place or told him where it was, because he just shows up there. Bit weird. But that might get explained next episode maybe. But he just shows up and yeah, teams up with Rain. Is going to help her with whatever she's trying to do. And we find out there's another person like Rain or other people like Rain. And because they released photos and stuff for the next episode and even like a leaked trailer came out, we know they're going to Fort Roz from season 1 of Supergirl. So throwback to that one from whenever that was. But didn't, at the end of season 1, Supergirl throw it into space and it exploded? I was talking to DJ Eric about this, and I think we confirmed, or at least thought that it exploded. Maybe it didn't, maybe some part survived, and that's where this other person like Rain is trapped on, like a part that survived. I don't know. But Fort Ross is the next episode. We're having Psy and Livewire return, so that should be sort of interesting, I guess, but we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I thought this was a solid return for Supergirl. You know, I was expecting a bit more with some of the Legion, I guess, but maybe they're made off to be sort of amateur because that's what they came across in that fight with Rain. I was expecting a bit more with the Supergirl return, but once again, it is a mid-season premiere. We've got heaps more episodes to get through before we even get to that part, so maybe I was expecting a bit too much. But overall, I thought it was a solid premiere, and yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens in the future of this season. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below what was your favorite part of the episode. What did you like? What didn't you like? Just let me know down there. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.